Welcome. In this video, I'm going to talk about the distributive property in combining like terms, which we'll use soon as our first steps in solving multi-step equations. So what is the distributive property? Well, it looks like this. So these are equivalent expressions. What it tells us is that when we have something multiplying something in parentheses, we can distribute that thing to every term inside the parentheses. Okay, this will make a little more sense when we see an application of it. So actually first, let's do 3 times 10 plus 4, how we would do following the regular order of operations, where we'd say, okay, we'll do what's in the parentheses first. So this will turn into 3 times 14, which is 42. Now, let's do this by distributing the 3 first. So we're going to do 3 to the 10 and to that positive 4. So this is going to become 3 times 10 plus 3 times 4, which is 30 plus 12, which is 42. So the first place you might have learned the distributive property was as a way to make multiplication easier. I'll be honest, I had to use a calculator for 3 times 14. I didn't know that off the top of my head. But 3 times 10 and 3 times 4, those were easy. Okay. But why would we do the distributive property? Why not always do it like we did over here on the left? Well, it's because sometimes we can't do what's in the parentheses first. If we look at example 1, I can't do x plus 6 because I don't know what x is. So I just simplify this expression by using the distributive property. So I'm going to distribute that 5 to the x and to the positive 6. So I get 5 times x plus 5 times 6. In multiplication, unless we have two numbers like we did over here, we don't put the dot in between. So I'm just going to write 5 times x is 5x. And then 5 times 6 is, of course, 30. Okay. Example 2. Whenever I have a negative sign with my number out front, I'm going to think of that negative sign as being stuck to the number. So I'm distributing a negative 3 to everything here. And I'm also going to think of this sign inside the parentheses as being stuck to the term after it. So I'm thinking of this as a negative 5. So first I have a negative 3 times x, which is negative 3x. And then I have a negative 3 times negative 5, which is a positive 15. All right. Example 3, I'm distributing this 12. So first I get a 12 times 2x. And then thinking of that negative as being stuck to the 3y, I have a this way, plus 12 times negative 3y. Okay. I'll multiply what I can, and what I can multiply is the 12 times 2 and the 12 times negative 3. So this will become 24x. 12 times negative 3 is negative 36. Y, I don't need that extra plus in there. I can just write it as a 24x minus 36y. Okay, next topic, combining like terms. So like terms have the same variables to the same powers, or the same exponents. So some examples of like terms. 3x squared negative 100, x squared 5x squared. Those are all like terms. They all have an x to the same power, the power of 2. Some non-like terms would be 3x squared and 2x. Yes, they both have an x, but one is squared and one is not, so those are not like terms. Another example of like terms would be something like 2wy and negative 8wy. Those have exactly the same variables in them. A non-like terms could be something like 2wy and negative 8w. They don't have exactly the same variables. This has a w and a y. This just has a w. So those are not like terms. When I'm combining like terms, personally I like to highlight, or you could draw shapes around your like terms. So my first term is 3x. So I'm going to look for like terms, so terms that have exactly an x in them. So not the negative 3x squared, but this 5x. And I'm going to take the sign in front of it to tell me if that 5 is positive or negative. So I have 3x plus 5x, which combines to be 8x. So think about the coefficients, the number in front of the variables, telling you how many of those things you have. This means I have 3 x's and 5 x's for a total of 8 x's. Okay, now I'm going to look at the plus 2y here. Any other terms that have y's? Yes, there's a negative 8y right here. So I have positive 2 and negative 8y. So 2 minus 8 is negative 6. I must have negative 6 y's. Then I have this negative 3x squared. I don't have anything to combine it with, so I'm just going to write it just how it is, negative 3x squared. All right, second example. I have a negative 12x to start with, so I'm looking for like terms. Well, I have this negative 6x. So combining those, a negative 12 minus 6 is going to be a negative 18x. And then I don't have anything to combine the 5z with, so I just have plus 5z. All right, so now when you're asked to simplify an expression, you distribute first, then combine like terms. So let's do this distribution, and then we'll rewrite our expression. So I have 4 times x. 4 times negative 3 is going to give me negative 12 plus 6x plus 12. Now I'm looking for like terms. So I have 4x and a positive 6x. Those will combine to give me 10x. Then I have a negative 12 and a positive 12. All numbers are like terms to each other. They don't have any variables. And negative 12 plus 12 is 0. I could write plus 0. There's really no need to though, so my final answer will just be 10x. All right, let's look at example 2. So I see this negative sign with the 3 in front of the parentheses, so I need to distribute a negative 3 to everything. So I'll get 3x, negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9, negative 3 times x is a negative 3x plus 10. Combining like terms, we'll have a 3x and a negative 3x. Well, 3 minus 3 is 0, so those cancel each other out. So we could write a 0x, and then I have a positive, so it's not my highlighter, a positive 9, I wanted a different color there, a positive 9 and a positive 10. Those combine to give me plus 19. There's really no need to have that 0x, so I'm just going to write my answer as 19. Expressions don't always simplify all the way down to one term. That's kind of nice when they do. Certainly if you were solving an equation, that would make your life easier. So quick recap, simplify an expression, do your distribution, then look for like terms. So get rid of those parentheses first by distributing, then you can combine like terms.